Hey, what do you know? This is the Melvin Live Show, and thank you for watching, and thank you for always full of surprises. uh, for me, Monday has always been that thing that catch me off guard. Um, some days Mondays are really, really good, but some days Mondays are really, really bad. And so today I want to talk about some of the bad things that kind of happen on a Monday. Now, the whole premise with the 1 person 1 million all digital business is that you you require a new set of thinking, because if you have always been operating in a particular way, then obviously transiting to looking at building this $1 million business, that this $1 million business by one person, um, it requires a mindset shift itself. And so, as I was talking to some people, they were a little pessimistic about why this is not working for them. And so, I kind of narrow it down to three key mistakes that most people make, myself included, as when I was starting out, right? Three key mistakes that most people make um, when it comes down to business. So let's get into this. Mistake number one. Mistake number one is that being a person who have accomplished a certain thing, I mean, it's only natural that we would want to talk about our achievements, right? And talking about achievements sometimes give us that justification to say that this is why you should listen to me, because I've achieved this, this, and this. And while that, it's a good way of presenting your credentials and your achievements, what's not so good about this is that the focus is on you instead of your audience. Now, in today's day and age, let's be very clear here. We are inundated with the amount of content that is out there. In the past, in order to consume content, you've only got arguably 3 to 4 ways. One is that you watch television, two is that you read something, two is that you read something, three is that you listen to something. So one is either you watch the television or you go to the movies. Two is you read some books or some newspapers, for example, or magazines. And three is if you listen to some kind of a radio or even an audiobook in those days, right? So there are only about 3 ways to kind of consume content. But this way, these days, let's look at the number of ways that we can consume content. And the more interesting thing is that now content is ubiquitous. In other words, you do not have to go to a specific place to consume your content. Arguably, you can consume the content from anywhere you are, right? As long as you have a mini computer in your pocket, which we all, well, I mean, we almost all of us have one these days, and that's our cell phone. And so the way to think about this is really fairly simple. What we want to do is we want to understand that your audience, just like you, your audience are drowning in a sea of information, wanting to get their attention to consume them. And so, how do other people get your attention? Well, one is that they interrupt you right before you skip the ad on the YouTube video that you want to work what that you want to watch, right? They interrupt you by telling you why you should listen to them. And so that's one way. The other way, of course, is as you're scrolling through your social media feed, you get bombarded with prom- promotional posts as you go along. So, like for example, on LinkedIn, the second or the third post is always a sponsored post. Just like on Twitter, the second or third post today is one exception. I didn't see any ad on my Twitter feed, but most times, in the second or third post itself, that it's a sponsored post. Likewise on Facebook, right? I mean, arguably this it's the way that all this social media platform earn their keeps, right? And so one way is that they kind of interrupt you in as you were about to do something, right? And it can be annoying, and it can be as annoying as you're walking down the street and you are heading to your meeting and someone stopped you and say, "Excuse me, sir, can I get a minute of your time? Are you da, 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 da?" And you're like, "No, I'm busy. I need to go somewhere. I'm late for my appointment, whatever." You just come up with whatever excuse possible to just get yourself out of that situation. And so and that clearly it's a bad way to get the attention of your audience, because more often than not, people are not ready when you interrupt them by showing your message to them where they actually have an intention of doing something else. And so the key here is number one, right? Yes, you can talk about yourself, you can talk about how cool you are, but I can tell you for one thing is that if you are going to be doing that, and if you are going to be creating content, you're going to run out of things to say, because there are just so many accomplishments that anyone can talk about. And besides, after a while, it gets kind of still, and it's just about you. So it's really not that interesting. So that's mistake number one, talking about yourself. So what you should be talking about here? Well, of course, you should be talking about your audience's problem. Now, I always tell my students, right? People will be scrolling through the feed, and chances are, if you do not capture their attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds of your video or of your content, they are just going to scroll past you. And when they scroll past you, what's going to happen is, you are not going to engage with the content. What's going to happen is these people might not even see your content ever again, right? Because of the way the algorithm works. And unless, your post becomes so popular that it kind of bubbles up to their feed itself, otherwise you stand no chance at all trying to get their attention, let alone getting the attention of people outside of your network. So talk about them, right? Talk about their problem. Talk about their problem better than they can describe it themselves. That would be the most ideal thing. And so if you look at the title of today's video itself, it's not about how I overcome this. Well, I mean, even then, that is a better way of getting your attention than to say that this is what I've done, because I mean, frankly, people don't really care. And I can say all I want, that I'm teaching everything I know about building a 1% 1 million all digital business. But there's so many people out there to watch and to listen to. So why me, right? And so the only way and the only chance that I have to capture attention is to be able to talk about your problem. So if you have been talking about yourself and finding that people are not paying attention to you, people are not giving you a chance, your content is good, your experience is going to help, your solutions are going to give people that transformation that they badly need, but the issue is you are not getting hurt. And if you're not getting hurt, you are definitely not getting anywhere. And so the only way that you want to stand a chance to getting yourself hurt is to talk about that problem. So that's mistake number one. Mistake number two, it's where people like to talk about their products, right? They like to talk about how good their products is and how great their products is. They might even bring up some testimonial of some random people that have used their products, which in some cases we're not even sure if those testimonials are real or they are some testimonials bought via Fiverr. I mean, these days anything is possible. And besides, looking at those testimonials itself, there may even be a disconnect because I'm not like this guy, I'm not like that guy. So there is that disconnect. And so the mistake here really is focusing on your product itself. Now, yes, your product is going to be the thing that transform your audience, but your product is that enabler, not the main thing. So the main thing is what is the transformation your audience is going to get, right? It's not about how cool your product is, how fast, how quick, how cost effective, how awesome it is. Yes, all that can be true. I mean, all those features may be true, but that is not what your audience is looking for. What your audience are looking for is what are the benefits that they can get from going through this process. And this process would mean, buying your product, consuming your product, or getting your assistance in this whole process itself. And so the way to think about this really it's that you don't want to be talking about your product. Instead, you want to talk about their transformation. So the first part really is to talk about their problem, right? To be able to describe their problem and to be able to share with them how you have resolved that problem yourself. And then the next part is really to talk about the kind of transformation, the kind of benefit that they can get. So a lot of time people go from this is your problem, this is my solution, and this is what you're gonna get. That to me is the wrong order of things because I am not prepared to know what you have to offer until I know what I'm gonna get. In other words, if I do not know the benefits at all, I need to know the benefits up front. If I do not know the benefits up front, you're just leaving me to figure out how am I going to be able to, use your product and achieve a certain goal. So if you look at some of the great companies, for example, if you look at um, let me think of an example that I could give you now. So I remember many years back when you know Dropbox was being introduced. One of the key things that they talked about, it's your problem, and what if we have this outcome, right? What if you are able to do all this? What if you do not have to worry about all this issue anymore, like forgetting your thumb drive or having a thumb drive being stolen or it crashing, for example, right? So imagine all these benefits and then bring about the solution itself. And of course, by then you want to talk about how your solution is unique and it's able to help your audience to achieve their goals and why they should pick you. And then you can talk about your achievements, you can talk about your experiences, yada yada. That's how you should be doing it. So that's mistake number two. Mistake number three is the selling. Now, yes, let's face it, we are in the business and we are here to sell. That said, you do not like to be sold to. I do not like to be sold to. Neither does your audience like to be sold to, right? I mean, if I'm here and I am just saying that you ought to buy this, why? Because otherwise you'll feel stupid. If you do not buy this, you are missing out on something that is so good. If you do not buy this, you are putting yourself way back in the herd itself and all that stuff, right? And at the back of your head, even if you know or if you think that this solution is going to help you, but because of the fact that it has been sold to you, you are not going to like it. And when that happens, we're just feeling that this spammy way of trying to get a sale. And so the alternative, what is the alternative? What does the alternative look like? Well, the alternative looks like it's that people do not like to be sold to, but people like to buy. I mean, I love the whole experience of buying something and to be able to consume that something and having that experience of euphoria. Yeah, I mean, I am kind of it's kind of over the top here, but you get my point. The point is that we all love the anticipation of bringing that thing that we have bought home or you know downloading it and to be able to see it right manifest and materialize right before our eyes. We all love that itself. And so what we need to do is to make sure that the entire experience is that they are making the decision and you are just facilitating them to make that decision. Now, how exactly can you do that? Well, the simplest way to help them make those decisions, it's what I call testimonials, urgency, as well as scarcity. Now, let's talk about scarcity first because a lot of time people would say that, well, if it's a digital product, why would it be scarce, right? I mean, if you created an ebook, um, it doesn't cost you anything to send another copy of the ebook other than, credit card transaction fees. It doesn't really cost you anything to produce another copy of the ebook. And besides, there is no such thing as like, limited copies of the ebook itself. Well, that's true, right? So when you talked about scarcity, it has to be something that it's real, right? So what could be scarcity in the form of a digital product itself? And that is why people like to use the idea of a countdown or a time limit or a deadline. So if you make your purchase by this date itself, you will be able to lock in at this low price. But if you come in later on, I cannot guarantee you that this price is going to be what you will be getting. You might be paying something more, or you might be paying something that's, right at the same price point. So the key here is to be able to help them want that thing, want it now, right? So that's scarcity definitely create that, and scarcity would lead to that urgency, right? It will lead to that urgency that people see that there is a need to purchase that. And so a lot of time I see people try and talk about urgency, like you need to do this now. And the more they say that, the more you know that they are trying to push the sale. Because at the back of your head, you're like, wait a minute, is this something that's really, really like time sensitive and I need to do it now? If not, I am going to lose my head, all that rubbish. And so when we talk about urgency, I think the key thing is to get them to think about, with every day that you are not taking action, you are actually, opening yourself up to more and more and more, um, detrimental effect itself, right? So like, right now I'm trying to, I'm, t- all right, let me say that again. Right now I'm looking to lose weight. And so, I could say that, well, it's not impairing anything right now. I could do it next week and the following week. And then a month is gone, 2 months gone. I can do that. But what would be the urgency? Well, the urgency is with every day that I am not taking action towards losing weight. What essentially I'm saying here is that I am potentially putting myself at risk in terms of my health. And that's something that I definitely do not want to do, because, I've got dependents, and that would create a sense of urgency for me. And finally, of course, is to make the right use of testimonials. And this is the part where I really love, taking a dig at people who use testimonial videos, because a lot of time, clients would even tell me, or prospects would even tell me that, we want to do a bunch of testimonial videos, and we want it to be authentic. We want people to say whatever they want to say. Now, you know, most people would not know what to say. I mean, yeah, they can talk about the experience, they can talk about how they have benefited from your product itself, but it requires a skilled producer, a skilled director, to be able to ask the right questions, right? And why are we asking those questions itself? Well, the reason why we ask those questions is because the people who are watching, they have those questions, right? They have those questions. And so, like right now, as you're watching, you probably have this question: why is this one person, 1 million or digital business not working for me? What's wrong? And so, once you understand why and what question people are asking, that's where you could create content like this, or to be able to use testimonials to get people to talk about their own experiences, the kind of challenges that they face and why it's not working for them, and what is it that they did that allowed them to move to the next level, right? And so, you know, the premise of this show, and the premise of what I am doing, it's, I am absolutely doing this because I want to document the entire process, because I know that going forward, when I hit that milestone, when I hit that milestone itself, I'm going to be looking at all those videos, and I'm going to be thinking like, wow, at the point in time, this was the darkest day ever. And as a result of that, these are the things that I did to get myself out of that darkest day. And I could look back, and really that could become a huge, huge, you know, um, encouragement for me and for everyone else as well. Right. So document it. That's what I'm doing. And if you like to support this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I will be greatly appreciate that. In addition to that, if you could hit the thumbs up for me, I will be eternally grateful to you, right? And for anyone watching right now, if you have a question, or if you are, on that journey of building that 1 person, 1 million all digital business, or you think you want to embark on this journey of doing so, then definitely reach out, right? Reach out, subscribe, send me a text, leave me a message, let's talk. Okay. And so with that, once again, if you have got a question, feel free to send it in the comments, and I'll be more than glad to answer your question. Hi, Brian. Really, thank you so much for dropping by, Brian. Really, really appreciate that. Ryan Schumann, by the way, it's one of the most sincere person I've ever come across on LinkedIn, right? And so if you were looking to learn about LinkedIn, Brian Schumann, it's the man, right? He's the most consistent, he's the most sincere, and he's the one who would actually he's the one who actually cares about you. So thank you, my man, Brian Schumann. And so with that, thank you so much for watching. And if you got a question about building this 1% 1 million old digital business, make sure you leave me a comment, leave your questions below, and I would definitely be more than glad to answer them. And with that, thank you, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right. And this is Melvin signing out.